Hi students, Mrs. Gore again, and this is 6th grade ELA, Sun Devil Learning Labs, and today we're going to be talking about CER writing, and this is a method you guys have likely used, and if not, we're going to talk about it, go through it, and you'll probably recognize it once we start talking about it. So let's just jump right in. So Mrs. Gore, CER writing. Once again, the only materials you're going to need today is something to write with and something to write on. So go ahead and pause the video for as long as it takes you to gather up your materials, and then we'll continue. Okay, so if you have your materials, let's go ahead and get started. So have you ever had to answer a question in class, maybe most likely in science possibly, or maybe social studies, or maybe even just reading comprehension, and you just wanted to answer it like, well, because, or it just is. You know, and your teacher says, well, why do you think that? Because I just do, you know. And then has the teacher ever come back and said, well, we need more to that answer. You know, what is your proof for why you feel that way, or why you think this, or you know, came to this conclusion? Has your teacher ever told you that he or she needed proof of why that's your answer? I'm sure you could think of a time or two. Or maybe you had a test question that asked you to answer a question, but it also asked you to explain or to give a reason. Right? So this is what we're talking about when we talk about the CER writing. So these are some examples I thought of. So what if you want to make an argument or a claim and say that, you know, fall is your favorite season? You're like, my favorite season is fall. Well, somebody might say, well, why is that? You know? Or what if why golden retrievers are your favorite dogs, right? Or why is chocolate your favorite ice cream? Okay, so we make these kinds of claims all the time, and we support them. We know how to support them. So my favorite season happens to be fall. I don't know if it's anybody else's, but if someone asked me, well, what are your reasons? I would say, well, the weather is beautiful. It's cooler outside. The leaves are so pretty to watch. Holidays are coming. I know that, you know, Halloween and Christmas is right around the corner. I mean, I'm sorry, Halloween, Thanksgiving, and Christmas, but those are the reasons I would give for why fall is my favorite season. Golden retrievers, my favorite dogs. I think they're just so pretty. They're so smart. They're great family dogs. I love the color of their hair. Why is chocolate ice cream your favorite ice cream? I don't actually know if chocolate ice cream is my favorite, but if it was, you'd have a lot of reasons why. And those would be to back up your claim, right? Or your argument, if you want to call it an argument. So I think you guys did argument and claims with one of the other teachers. So I'm hoping that you're somewhat familiar with those terms. And so you already know how to support your claims, but we just have to make sure that we know how to write it all down as well. We need to be able to write our claims and our evidence for why those are our claims in a way that people can understand. So that's what we're talking about today. Our objective for this lesson is going to be that I can support a claim using evidence and reasoning using the CER strategy. Okay, so the CER strategy is a specific way to write these claims and evidence and reasoning. That's what we are going to get into. So why do we have to know CER? Because it turns the I don't know into aha. Okay, it makes that thinking happen. It makes our brains go from just, well, that's the answer, to why is that the answer? How did we get that answer? Okay, this is important when making arguments or stating a scientific claim. So yeah, it's especially important in science I could think of maybe social studies as well being, kind of an important one, and really just reading comprehension. It's a great thing to know for a lot of things. It helps us think like a scientist. Okay? So scientists never quit questioning, and they never quit um, giving reason for their finds and their evidence for what they're testing and what they're concluding, right? And the claims they're making. So the vocabulary for this is going to be, if you notice, this is our CER. So C is for claim, E is for evidence, R is for that reasoning, okay? So the claim is what you know, okay? What you know. The evidence is how you know it, okay? How did you figure that out? The reasoning is why your evidence supports your claim. So we're going to go a step further with just, we're not just making a claim and backing it up, but we are going to explain to someone why that evidence backs up our claim. Okay? Now, again, just to make sure we're really, really clear on the claim, evidence, and reasoning, we have this claim right here. The person's point of view or opinion. The opinion or the statement. And an example would be, dogs are better than cats. So in one of my lessons that I did, I wrote a little piece about dogs are better pets than anything else, right? So that's making a claim. That's stating an opinion. That's stating a statement, right? That's our claim. Our evidence is the proof or facts that support the person's point of view. So in my write-up that I had done in that other lesson, I had given reasons like dogs are smart, they're easy to train, they're more cuddly than snakes or turtles. So it would be my evidence why their dogs are better than other pets, right? Or better than cats. Okay? The reasoning, an explanation for why the person believes his or her point of view is correct. So this is your because, right? You would see the words like because or since. So I could say something like, since, cuddling with your pets is such an enjoyable activity, and since dogs have softer fur than, say, a snake or a turtle, therefore dogs are better pets. So that's kind of that reason. It's just a short version. We're going to get into better examples in a moment. Okay, so now this quote that we were working with before has changed just a little bit. Okay, we're just changed it just the slightest amount. Our question is the same. Okay, how does the character feel? How does he feel? Okay, so if we read the quote that's in the box, I want to go now, he screamed. Okay, that's different than the one we just looked at. So the claim we can make is, he is in a hurry. Okay, so he feels like he's in a hurry, right? And what is our evidence that tells us he's in a hurry? The evidence says he wants to go now, and it has that exclamation point at the end right there. We know that means serious business, right? So then we get down to reasoning. So the reasoning for this evidence supporting our claim is the use of the word now shows urgency. He wants to go, which shows that he is on his way somewhere. The use of the exclamation point after the quote shows excitement or elevated voice. He also screamed, which shows anger, urgency, or excitement over the need to go now. So our character didn't even say very much, but what he did say was said in a way that we were able to make this claim, back it up with this evidence, and also give all of this reasoning to explain it all. And that's one of those answers that your teacher would be excited to see. It goes beyond just saying because that's what he said. Because he said he wants to go. Okay, we're giving more than just that evidence. We're giving that reason why that evidence is supportive of the claim. Okay, so I hope these two short little kind of examples were good to point this out, okay? Now, this point is where I want you to get out your paper and your pen or pencil. And you can pause the video as long as you need to, and I would like for you to try and recreate or make this little kind of a graphic organizer chart on your paper for your own. So you can see that what we have here, it makes this E, which makes you think of evidence, right? And evidence is these three here. And over here we have our reasoning. So pause the video as long as you want and go ahead and just recreate this to the best of your abilities. Doesn't have to be perfect, but we are gonna work with it a little bit. And this way you'll have it right there in front of you. So go ahead and pause the video and then we'll continue. Okay, so I hope that you had time to copy this down in your notes and follow along with me while we fill this out, okay? So the question that we're gonna ask before we do our reading is this: what is an important step in making rock candy? So go ahead and write that on your graphic organizer that you made. What is an important step in making rock candy? That's your question. Now I will give you an alternative. If you did not draw this chart on your paper, just go ahead and make the notes. Like you can go ahead and write question and then write the question and go ahead and follow along with where we are on the graphic organizer on your piece of paper. Okay, if that makes sense. Okay, so what we're going to do is look at this article, okay? And we're going to use this article to fill out our graphic organizer based on the question we just asked, which was, what is an important step in making rock candy? And you should have that question written in front of you somewhere so you can refer to that. So we're going to look at this article and have in mind that we're going to find a claim. We're going to be able to make that claim to answer that question. And we're also going to back it up with our evidence. So let's read the article. And remember the question: what is an important step in making rock candy? Okay. And here is our article. Takes just a second. So make your own rock candy. That's the article. Okay. So starting right in on the article, you can read along with me. I'll try to go a little slower in case you want to read along as I read. Okay, so making rock candy at home is a tasty way to show chemistry in action, but the instructions contain a step that seems a bit odd. You're supposed to dip your candy stick or string in sugar at the start of the process. Doesn't that seem like cheating somehow? And is it really necessary? Yes, as it turns out, that sugar dip is definitely required if you want any rock candy to eat anyway. It's easy to make rock candy. All you need is a lot of sugar, some water, and a little patience. Pour 3 cups of sugar into 1 cup of water and bring your mix to a boil while you stir. Once the mix boils, the sugar will dissolve into the water. It quickly forms a clear solution. Pour the syrupy mixture into a glass, hang a stick or string in the mix, then walk away. I'm going to scoop a little bit. After a few days or a week, sugar crystals will have built up on the string, making a sticky, sweet candy. But the candy doesn't look like the sugar you started with. The sugar molecules have instead become highly organized into a crystal structure. A key step in this process is wetting the string or stick and then dipping it in sugar. The sugar clinging to the string or stick serves as a seed crystal. This is a crystal that promotes the growth of the bigger crystals of rock candy. Okay, and there's a little picture of what they're doing to dip that stick right in that water and then into that sugar to make that seed crystal. Okay. Me and my kiddos made rock candy one time. It was fun. Okay, sugar molecules crystallize in a solution when they bump into each other and stick together. The first phase is called nucleation. Once a tiny crystal forms, it serves as a nucleation point. Other sugar molecules then glom onto it and make the crystal bigger. Seed crystals in the rock candy mix serve as this nucleation point, making the rock candy form faster. Try for yourself with the experiment below, which starts with a hypothesis, a statement that can be tested. That says using sticks with seed crystals will produce more rock candy than sticks without. Okay, and then that's just the material list. Let's go down to, I guess we could do the procedure. We'll read that out loud. So step 1, take 18 clean pieces of string or wooden skewers like the ones used to grill kebabs. Set half aside. For the other half, dip the last 12.7 centimeters or 5 inches of the end of the skewer string into a cup of clean water and roll it in a small pile of sugar. Set aside to dry. If you want to eat your experimental results, make sure you use the blunt ends of the skewer so that you don't end up poking yourself in the mouth. So if you see on these pictures, it looks like they've got 2 sets, like they've colored one red and one blue. And what they're doing is they are testing which group makes the better, faster crystal. So one group has the stick or string dipped in the sugar mixture, the syrup mixture, to make the seed crystal. The other one does not. So then they're going to see at the end of it which one works better. Okay. You're going to set out 18 clear plastic or glass cups. Okay, I think we can probably skip the procedure part. I didn't think of how long it was. Let's just go to this part. So it says, after a day or so, you might be able to see crystals beginning to grow. The longer you leave the experiment, the bigger your crystals will get, but 3 days is enough to detect a difference. So look, they've got the blue ones here and then the pinkish red ones. So which ones do you think that they used the seed crystals for? Let's see if it tells us. After 3 or more days, get out your scale again. Carefully crack the sugary film on top of each cup with a spoon. It says this part is very satisfying. It really is, if you've ever done it. Remove the stick or string in the cup. Make sure it's not dripping and weigh it. If you want to weigh it. So this is their conclusion to making rock candy and their procedure, their experiment that they did. How much rock candy did you grow in each group? To find out, you can subtract the weight of the stick at the beginning of the experiment from the weight of the stick and the candy at the end. This gives you a measure of crystal growth in grams. Your seeded sticks should have grown more rock candy than the unseeded sticks. Based on the author's results of the experiment, it's clear that those tiny seed crystals are an important rock candy hack. The author's hypothesis was that using sticks with seed crystals will produce more rock candy than sticks without. This experiment supports that hypothesis. Okay, so that's our article. And then let's go back to our slideshow. So we're going to look at that CER writing again. So we already have our question written down, which is, what is an important step in making rock candy? Okay. Now, after reading the article, we need to answer this question with a claim. So one claim we can make is this. When making rock candy, you must dip the stick or string into the syrup mixture first. Does that sound like a good claim for answering the question? Does it sound like this is an important step? It does to me. And then this is what we know from reading the article. This is what we know, right? The claim is what we know. We read it in the article. So we've made our claim. So let's look at our graphic organizer. Okay, we have our question still up there. And now we have our claim. When making rock candy, you must dip the stick or string into the syrup mixture first. Okay, that claim answers the question. All right. So now we need to find 3 pieces of evidence for our graphic organizer, because if you notice, there's 3 places for evidence. One here, and one here. So that's for 3 pieces of evidence. So we've talked about text evidence, we've talked about those sorts of things. This is basically what we're doing in this, only we're finding our evidence to support our claim. Okay? So these are some pieces of evidence that I found on my own. Okay. So the article states the key step in this process is wetting the string or stick and dipping it in sugar. Does that sound like a piece of evidence that supports our claim that that's an important process? Yes. It says it's a key step in this process is wetting the string or stick and dipping it in sugar. Okay, number 2, the article says that the sugar clinging to the string serves as the seed crystal. And it does. The article does say that. Our third piece of evidence, again, according to the article, seed crystals in the rock candy mix serve as the nucleation point, making the rock candy form faster. Okay, so if you were going to find 3 pieces of evidence to support that claim, I believe these 3 do that. Okay, so let's look at how we put them on our organizer. We basically just filled in all 3 of these spots right here. 1 piece of evidence in each. See how that works? And again, take as much time as you need. If you want to pause the video here and go ahead and finish filling in the graphic organizer if you don't already have it up to speed. Go ahead and pause the video now and take that time. Okay, so we have our question, we have our claim, and then we have 3 pieces of evidence to back that up. Okay, so did you have time to fill in your graphic organizer and starting to see how it's coming together? We have the question, the claim, and then the 3 pieces of evidence. Okay, now, what is our reasoning behind this? So we know that reasoning has to back up our evidence. It has to make that connection between our evidence and our claim. Okay, so it's more of the explaining part of all of this. It's making it all make sense. So this is the example of my reasoning that I wanted to make sure and give you guys because I think it really explains each piece of evidence. Okay, so the article states that a key step in this process, which shows importance, since key means of crucial importance. Okay, so that is actually explaining the 1 piece of evidence that I have, this piece here. So the article does state that a key step in the process is wetting the string and dipping it in sugar. What I'm doing is going a step further and explaining why does that back up how important this is, okay? And it's because it's written as a key step in this process, which shows its importance, since key means of crucial importance, okay? So that totally supports that piece of evidence. The next one is the article explains that this process serves as the seed crystal, and seeds grow other things. So I think that in and of itself explains why that's such an important part of it. Because without the seed crystal, you really, things have to have a seed to grow. And in this case, it's pretty true too, even of rock candy, right? So, and then finally, according to the article, the seed crystals make the rock candy form faster, which shows their role in growing the rock candy. So do you see how we took those 3 pieces of evidence and we really explained them? We explained them even further. It's not just that the article says it, but the way it's written in the article, maybe the words that are used, really explain those pieces of evidence, those 3 pieces of evidence. It kind of explains why those are evidence for the claim. So that would be your reasoning. We've filled all of that in under reasoning. So now you have this whole complete picture of from the question all the way to the reasoning. So you have your question, you read the article, with that question in mind, then you're able to make that claim. And then once you make your claim, you have to back it up. And you have to back it up with at least 3 pieces of evidence, which we did. And then you go that extra step further over here into this blue box. And you're going to explain that evidence. You're going to say, this is why that's so such an important piece of evidence, correct? So I'm hoping by seeing the whole process, the way that we just kind of ran through it, you can see the connections between all of these things, okay? Think and remember, CER, claim, evidence, reasoning, okay? So let's see. So we did this, back to our objective. It says, I can support a claim using evidence and reasoning using the CER strategy. So really, we're just going that step beyond, giving our reasons and our arguments and the evidence that backs it up, and we're saying, let me take it one step further, okay? So when you're asked to explain your reasoning, you now will understand that that means you're explaining your evidence that backs up your claim. And it all goes together. So if you're explaining something and you feel like, I made my claim and I gave my evidence, but something's missing, just remember CER, and remember you need to have that reasoning part of it. You know, you have to explain your answer even a little bit further, okay? Especially when you're in science. You know, the science teacher doesn't want you to just tell him or her how you got there, and they want you to show them that evidence, but they also want you to explain why, you know, the evidence makes sense, under what circumstances your evidence makes sense. And really, that's just the basis of it. So I hope that these, you know, we can, well, like this last slide says, you know, now we can all think a little more like scientists and be ready to support our arguments. Okay. So, and by arguments, we don't always mean like arguing like fighting. We just mean, even in like reading comprehension, if you're asked to say, we've done some lessons on main ideas and author's purpose and viewpoints and things like that. So if you're asked a question that has to do with some of those topics, you're basically making an argument, you're making a claim. If you state what you think the main idea of the story is, you're going to have evidence that supports that. Then you're going to go that much further and you're going to explain why your evidence supports what you just claimed. Okay, so I hope that this lesson has helped you to understand CER. And then if nothing else, it's going to help you, you know, when school starts back up and you guys actually start talking about CER again, hopefully you'll be more familiar with it. And in the learning guide for this video, for this lesson, I did attach a few resources that can be looked up by anybody. And some of them are free, or well, they're all free, but some of them are printable worksheets and things like that. So if you need extra help on this topic, the sky's the limit. There's so many resources out there. So you can refer to my learning guide if you want to start, or just look up CER writing, and good luck. Thanks for joining me today, and have an awesome rest of your day.